Let me guess. He hated it.
Oh, slightly less than Roger, but I'm
pissed off either way.
His revenge. Only you can save your children. You must make yourself remember.
Remember what?
Peter, don't you know who you are?
Have to fly. Have to fight. Have to crow. Have to save Maggie. Have to save Jack. Okay, back. Who?
Where are we going?
To Never Never Land.
Where?
I hate Peter Pan.
We did it, man. We
Got
made
all the
it.
way.
Season finale. And
the greatest kids movie ever made.
We've been talking about doing this one, and we finally got around to it. I feel like we finally made it.
Well, I think after we've put ourselves through some other questionable movies, we got a good
some stinkers.
Yeah, some stinkers.
We were due for a good one.
Yeah.
Although,
in our opinion, really.
Yeah.
Not the opinion of everyone, especially at the time.
Not getting a ton of love.
No. Even still, I guess. I don't know. The reviews are much tougher than I expected. Like going in, I knew I was like, okay, maybe they'll be off. Like they're
crazy
they're
tough.
Brutal. They're brutal.
So 91 PG, 6.8 on IMDb, 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. And
brutal.
At this point, I just don't even care about Rotten Tomatoes.
No,
what does that even mean?
Because there's their rating, there's the public rating. Sometimes those are close, sometimes they're completely off.
I don't even care.
20% is brutal.
IMDb 6.8. So let's just not beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Is this your favorite childhood movie, or if not one of?
I think if I sat and thought about it real hard, I could probably argue against it. But if it was like someone just
gun to your head,
I'd probably say Hook.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling you, this is the first time I've watched this movie objectively instead of just grinning and wanting to enjoy it.
Right.
So I did have some notes that were like, okay, maybe this doesn't add up. Having said that, because it's not a perfect movie by any means, there are its flaws. We will get to that. But as far as just raw enjoyment and a good kids movie, we just had Three Ninjas, so we know what bad kids movies are. This is a great kids movie.
Yeah.
And 6.8 on IMDb felt low to me.
Yeah, I'd say.
I looked at other movies that are higher than Hook. Some of them I can justify, some of them I cannot. So I'm just going to go through them for you.
Please.
Sandlot is the highest that I have found for a kids movie, 7.8.
And that seems low. Like that'd be in the argument for better kids movie potentially, but
sure. 7.8 though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. A full point better than Hook. I don't know. But okay. I'm fine with Sandlot being 7.8. I just feel like Hook should be higher. Homeward Bound 7. Matilda 6.9. Babe also 6.8. Goofy Movie 6.9. Bugs Life 7.2. Frickin' Mouse Hunt is 6.5. We're only 0.3 away from Hook.
Wow.
Get out of here with that.
That's tough. That's tough to justify.
Jumanji 7, Tarzan 7.3, Hercules 7.3, Anastasia 7.2, Hocus Pocus 6.9, Hunchback of Notre Dame 7, Balto 7.1.
Hunchback of Notre Dame?
All of those. That's better than Hook.
See, I'd have to look at how many people, what the numbers are of the rating. Like, I feel like more people have an opinion about this movie than have an opinion about The Hunchback of Notre Dame or something. Like, I don't know. That doesn't.
But in your circle, just throw out Hook.
Right.
I've never heard anything negative about it. With all of my friends,
right.
We had entire nights at parties where we would just be like, someone would make a dumb joke and we go,
yeah.
Like, you can bust out.
There's too many
5-10 lines a night, and we're howling with laughter. No one is like, "Oh, Hook, forget that movie. That movie sucks."
Right. And I think a lot. And when I was making notes for this, there's so many lines. I was like, this line, we still say it today. This line, we use to this day. Like,
drink your popo, Peter. I'll say that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
If I have to.
This is one that, like, culturally, like, made a difference more so than most, if not almost all, the movies you just listed. But it's available on Netflix right now. That's where I watched it.
Sure is.
Runtime 2 hours and 22 minutes. Yeah, longer. I mean, I guess if I'm going to nitpick, maybe lengthy. That. But
that went over my head as a kid.
Yeah,
that is a long movie.
Yeah, it's true.
Wow.
I mean, Steven Spielberg, he's known to make a longer movie.
Still.
Did budget of $70 million.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess between set pieces and stuff, I could see. And the length, when you start looking into like how long it took and things like that, I can see where your budget kicks in. Did you see how much it grossed though? Because boy, did they make their money back.
I did, and I forgot, but I saw it did well.
Yeah, $300 million. So
yeah,
not out of the gate, but damn,
right.
Like over time, they can justify. They can look at someone who gives them a 29% and go, really?
And I think Steven Spielberg got away with murder because I saw that it originally had a schedule of 76 days and a budget of $48 million. They expanded it to 116 days with a budget of $80 million. So they went 40 days over filming and then 32 mil over budget.
Yeah.
Oof. I don't know that a lesser director would have been able to get away with that. I think they would have just said sorry.
Well, that segues perfectly into my next question.
Oh, good.
So do you know the history at all of the director for this movie?
No.
You may have an opinion on it. So Steven Spielberg was the director of this movie, right? The original director was your friend Nick Castle of Dennis the Menace fame. He was originally signed on, and we can get into this in the trivia and facts mythology later, but he was originally supposed to be the director, and then a little known man by the name of Steven Spielberg usurped it. So that'll just be the lead into that later. But yeah, a little bit of drama. There's a little bit of drama with this movie, and that's not the only fun fact. So let's take our anger and our aggression and mosey our way over into some reviews, because there are plenty to dive into.
Oh, I know Roger has I had to stop reading his review. I was getting so agitated.
Yeah, there's so many things that he said that I feel...
I don't want to curse a dead man, but I was getting quite close.
I have some opinions, and none of them are good. So 2 out of 4 stars.
And for the record, we have said sometimes it's 5 stars and 4. So fair. For once and for all,
it is 4 stars. So in the future, when I mess this up again,
just know it's out of 4.
It is 4 stars. So he starts off by saying, the ads for Steven Spielberg's Hook ask the question, what if Peter Pan grew up? But the answer, alas, is that he would probably star in a lugubrious retread of a once magical idea, a movie very much like this one in which Peter Banning is a busy executive with more time for his cellular phone, which I just loved reading.
Yeah, cellular, because call it cellular.
Yeah, than for his children until fate launches him back once again into combat with Captain Hook. So already he's upset. The sad thing about the screenplay for Hook is that it's so correctly titled. This whole construction is really nothing more than a hook on which to hang a new version of the Peter Pan story. No effort is made to involve Peter's magic in the changed world he now inhabits, and little thought has been given to Captain Hook's extraordinary persistence in wanting to revisit the events of the past. I mean, it just keeps going. Like he has umbrage with almost every aspect of this movie. After reading his review, I'm like, why did you give any stars? Why did you even give 2? It seems like you hate this movie.
I just don't get like, oh, he's not using his magic. It's pretty clear he forgot everything.
Right.
So I don't think it's like he's going to walk up the stairs one day and realize he can fly up the stairs.
Right.
Like, oh man, something's going on here.
Right.
I just don't get his criticisms.
I don't know.
Oh, it's a fantastical world. Yeah. This is kind of based off of Peter Pan and Hook,
right,
in which a boy can fly and a bunch of other boys fight pirates.
When he says,
what do you want?
The conclusion of Hook would be embarrassingly excessive, even for a movie in which something of substance had gone before. Here we get the uncanny suspicion that Hook was written and directed according to the famous recipe of the country preacher who told the folks what he was going to tell them, told them, and then told them what he had told them. I was like,
what?
Does this movie beat you over the head? Really? Like, it feels like...
I guess this is in Roger's defense, which he has very little.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah. Hanging on by a thread.
The beginning of the movie is a play about Peter Pan. There's books that they open about Peter Pan.
Yeah.
None of that, it's ringing a bell, Peter.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing all of this in front of your eyes. Your daughter's playing in it as Wendy. And nothing. You're just like, I don't know.
And this is the classic two people who watched this as kids and loved it versus someone as an adult watching this for the first time. We're not we know this story a bit, but it's hard for me to see so much like you can justify things like that if a movie is good. Like, I'd rather have a movie be good and have things like that versus like, oh, the story's great but the movie sucked. Like,
right.
Like, take the good with the bad here. Like,
but this plot is perfect. You can explain it in one sentence.
Right.
Peter Pan grows up.
Yeah.
He's forgotten everything, has to rescue his kids from Hook.
Yeah.
Done.
The taglines I found were, what if Peter Pan grew up? Perfect.
Yeah.
To live would be an awfully big adventure. A fantastical version of that. Like, these are all things that, like, you said that and I'm already on board. Not like, tell me more. I need to understand this.
And I can't even do a basic plot described poorly because I don't want to.
No, I refuse.
I don't want to sully this movie.
No.
But what I found was when Captain James Hook kidnaps his children, an adult Peter Pan must return to Neverland and reclaim his youthful spirit in order to challenge his old enemy. Okay. I'm in.
You got it.
Who is Peter Pan, you ask? Robin Williams.
Right.
Yeah, doubly in. Great. And if it was so bad, Roger,
right,
how come it was nominated for 5 Oscars? Granted, it didn't win any. However, how many children's movies are nominated for 5 Oscars?
Right, exactly.
Best art direction, best costume design, best visual effects, best makeup, best original song. Piss off Roger Ebert.
Well, and this is the first time that I found a Roger Ebert and a Gene Siskel review on this.
Oh my goodness. And let me guess, he hated it.
Oh, slightly less than Roger, but not much.
Piss off either way.
2.5 out of 4 stars. His note, the biggest problem with Hook is that Spielberg's Neverland is a tiresome bore populated by a gaggle.
Are you kidding me?
That's what, populated by a gaggle of stock movie kids jumping about seaside shanty sets that are ambitious but look artificial. Hey, look out. The fat kid is rolling himself into a ball.
Yeah, he is.
I said that
incredible. And how are those stock kids?
Yeah. I think his note on the kids being just like normal. I thought all those kids were great. Like, I don't know
amazing
what he's talking about.
And they look different. I don't know what you're talking about. Like stock kids.
He said this hook in quotations also could have used some songs to break up the monotony of the Neverland antics. Even Julia Roberts is wasted in a trivial role as Tinkerbell. She doesn't have a single memorable moment in the picture. False. Appearing mostly as a miniature special effect. Why cast her if you're not going to use her?
I mean, first off, it sounded like you said Stinkerbell, which made me laugh because her performance was not great.
No,
I mean,
but
she's also been highly criticized for how difficult she was during filming.
Right.
But you want songs to break things up? Oh, you mean like when he's exercising, trying to train, and they have a whole song for that?
Or when Maggie's
singing?
Right.
And maybe he missed that part. Maybe he fell asleep. But either way, get out of here with that.
And Entertainment Weekly gave it a D+. Like no one was happy. No one was happy with this movie at the time, the critics. But we're happy to say you were all wrong because this movie has stood the test of time.
It is so good.
Yeah.
All right, let's take it from the top.
Have you ever thought about what actors you look like?
Usually it's Ed Helms.
Okay, I could see it. I feel as though I look like Jack. And when I was a boy, I feel like there's a definite connection to Jack. So every time I see him, I'm imagining myself.
He didn't age very well.
No.
When he was in Can't Hardly Wait,
I agree.
I was like, holy shit, that's Jack. But also, oh my
Jack.
God, he does not look great.
But little
back
Jack,
in the day, he was in this. What About Bob? He was in Dick Tracy.
Totally forgot
he was
about
like
this.
all over the place.
Yeah.
And then he just disappeared, to my knowledge, until Can't Hardly Wait, which is why when that movie came out, it was so he is Jack from Hook.
You're never not Jack.
No, he's even movies before. Like when I see him in What About Bob, I'm like, oh yeah, Jack. I
totally forgot he was in Dick Tracy.
It's crazy.
Mm. So from the beginning, we've got the setup of Jack's playing a baseball game. Dad's not making it. I said, I'm sure Jim's enjoying this. There's the asshole dad in the 90s kids movie.
Just like can't even show up. He has a guy come up with a video camera to tape it for him. How good of you, Dad.
Yeah,
way to
real
go.
Nice. Real nice, Peter. And it was all foreshadowed by Jack just carrying around the baseball mitt at all times. Like, you know, this was an important...
Even during the play.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You knew
this is important to him.
Right. You knew nothing was coming to this. But in all fairness, Jack... a pop-up is hit towards you, you're backpedaling in the outfield, listen, you may not be the number one player on the team. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know what he did there, but how old are they in this?
Fair.
Because then they're saying, please don't pitch a curveball. What age are you pitching curveballs?
Yeah, that's also a fair point.
And the coach was not great either. No. Like, he strikes out and everyone is celebrating on the other team, and the whole team, his team is just like, ignore it, like cold shoulder. He just walks to the bench.
Yeah, maybe he shouldn't be coaching Little League. But Dad was busy. He was in the middle of walking through an office with a gaggle of people.
Way late though.
He had a cell phone duel. Like, listen.
And I don't really get that. Don't let your arms get tired.
A bit of a swing and a miss. But in all fairness, jokes at corporate offices are pretty hokey like that.
Okay.
So maybe I could see it. But so they get on the plane. There's tension.
Yeah.
There's tension with the family.
Sure.
Something I had never, ever noticed until this very first time that I understood this. And it's probably because I was watching the movie with headphones on. There's an announcement made over the plane.
I did not know that either.
It blew my mind because I before it was just a noise in the background. Now I hear a voice and I'm like,
yep.
Why does that voice sound familiar? Yep. Who is the voice, Jim?
The pilot is Dustin Hoffman, I believe, correct?
Captain Hook.
Hook himself. I did not know that, nor did I even listen to it. To be fair, I think up until this point, the only time I've watched this movie is on like VHS.
Fair.
This, like, watching it on Netflix, I'm like, wow, these are sharp colors. Like, things are just brighter. I'm going to have to go back and listen to some of that stuff.
Yeah. But I just wrote in all caps, I just now noticed the voice is Hook on the intercom. Like, it never once even...
And there's a ton of trivia with this. Maybe now is a good time to just bust out the trivia and facts. But some of this I looked up a few years ago. Like when IMDb came out, I was like, I need to look up my favorite movies and see if there's things I missed. Because there was no internet back in the day. We just watched movies. We guessed things. We had to memorize stuff.
You watched it once. If you got to watch it again at some point,
good for you. Yeah. But like if we wanted to know what a line was, you just watched it over and over again until you memorized it. Exactly. You couldn't just look at it online.
We rewound it like cavemen.
Exactly. So yes, when the Bannings fly to England, the pilot's voice is Dustin Hoffman, and there are so many cameos in this movie.
Yeah.
When Tinkerbell first gets Peter to carry him to Neverland and has him in the blanket, there's a couple kissing on the bridge.
I did see this.
The dust comes down. Who is that? George Lucas and Carrie Fisher make it out on the bridge.
Wow.
What a weird cameo. You can't see them at all.
Right.
But you know they're there.
Well, Carrie Fisher, she's got a real history of this movie too. Outside of that, she's got her own lineage throughout this movie. If you're
really,
yeah, which we can get into.
Yeah, go for it.
So she's the kissing couple, right?
Yeah.
She did some uncredited rewriting on the final draft of the screenplay.
I did see that.
Yep. She was only supposed to do some lines for Tinkerbell, but one of the lines she did was, you know that place between sleep and awake, that place where you still remember dreaming? That's where I'll always love you. That's where I'll be waiting.
And that's a great line.
That's why when Siskel was like, she doesn't have any memorable parts, I'm like, bullshit. Yeah. She has some solid...
Go fuck yourself, Siskel.
And also, I believe Carrie Fisher was Steven Spielberg's original prototype for Tinkerbell.
Which then why not just have her as Tinkerbell?
Fair question.
All right, so some of the other... I wrote down so many cameos. Yes, so we have Carrie Fisher and George Lucas.
Yep.
The police inspector that comes to investigate the kids. Frickin' Phil Collins. Then you have the pirate that gets thrown in the boo box, Glenn Close.
Lovely.
Now that you know that, clearly Glenn Close with a fake beard. Why did they choose Glenn
Not
Close?
the boo box. I would love the story on that as well.
I have no idea.
Couldn't find that.
The pirate that says "Long live the hook," "Save me, Daddy." He also gets kicked in the balls. I think by Thud. Oh, he gets the board up right up in his taint.
Yep.
He's David Crosby.
Yep.
Jimmy Buffett is one of the pirates who tries to steal Peter's shoes when he first gets to Neverland.
Didn't know that one. Wow.
Gwyneth Paltrow appears as teenage Wendy.
I think it's her second film.
Just like film. Maggie Smith was 56 years old.
That's crazy.
Playing a 92-year-old. And knowing that, watching it, I'm like, there's no way she's only 56. She
that
looks
blew my mind.
Every bit of 92 in this.
Yes.
Wow.
That was probably one of the most impressive feats of
good for her
throughout the movie, because she killed that.
She played it well.
Yeah. But so they're on the plane. Jack makes a drawing for Dad. Everyone's falling out of a burning plane except Dad.
Yeah, no parachute.
You can tell Dad's stressed. So that's it's a very helpful thing. So I don't know who's more to blame, Jack for drawing it or Maggie really just shoving it in front of Dad's face. Like they're both, I think, they're both culpable here.
She had her brother's back.
Yeah.
I don't think she fully understood. She seemed excited about it.
Something a child would do. But you can tell Dad's stressed.
I am a child.
Maybe now's not the time. And something I ran into a little bit. I was like, I know Peter is supposed to be, he's a dick in these scenes, right? He's upset. He's frustrated.
A little bit.
But the things he's getting upset about, I also too would be getting upset about. Jack is slamming on the window in an airplane.
Yeah.
I'd be noting that.
Yeah.
They're on the stairs that are snowy. He's trying to climb up on it. I'd be like, get down from there. Like there are things where I'm like I understand he's overreacting, but as a father, I'm commenting on every one of these things.
So now as an adult, are you relating more to Peter? Like, you know what?
Exactly.
Jack was kind of a shit.
Listen,
maybe he didn't deserve to have a crowd for his baseball game. Choked on his gum.
Exactly.
Gotta be careful with that.
Listen, some things, they change when you get older. To your point, yes, exactly. But right from the jump, there is I understand this is a kids movie for kids, but I'm finding myself as an adult laughing throughout the entirety of the movie. Toodles opens the door. It's snowing. Slams the door.
One of my favorite scenes. I have always loved that. Like today, the first snow of the year, every winter, I'll just yell it's snowing. I love Toodles.
And I think Toodles is in the running for most underrated character in the movie. Like he's not in it a ton. My book. No?
He's one of my two favorite characters.
Okay, fine, great.
Him and Thud.
I think in the conversation when people are like, who's your favorite character? I think more times than not, Toodles will be mentioned, but not first, second, third.
He is number one for me. Wow. Number one in my heart.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who's number one in your heart? Toodles.
He's so good. And he has so many good lines too. Like, got to fight, got to grow.
Yep. Lost my marbles. Like with that, we constantly say when Isla, our baby, is running around going nuts, we say, "We lost our marbles." Constantly, Toodles references aplenty. And another line, segueing, that has made its way into our family is when Granny Wendy sees them all. She says, "Come give me a squinch." There's no hug that is mentioned without a squinch because of this movie. Come give me a squinch.
Well, her line that I would say all the time is, "Hello, boy." I would say that.
That was I think it was the first time I noticed him saying that. Like, "Hello, boy."
I've never noticed squinch.
Yeah, see, there you go. So we can trade lines.
We should.
Come, next time you hug someone, ask them to give you a squinch. And I love the Jack giving the unenthusiastic speech to Granny Wendy. Like, I know I'm supposed to say congrats on your place and your thing. I'm like, perfect. Totally asshole thing a kid would do.
But he memorized his speech.
He did.
Good for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And listen, I don't agree with Siskel or Ebert or any of these critics, but to your point, we're from the jump, we're getting all the pirate metaphors, all the Peter Panery. Yeah. Which is fine. I'm on board for all of it. So I don't see the problem with it. But if you're not enjoying it, then yes, it's probably a little ham-fisted.
The issues that I have with the house are, okay, so Wendy, not a fan of Hook. But the room where the kids sleep, there's a literal hook to close the doors shut. And then there's a mural wallpaper on the top of the ceiling of the scene of pirates.
Yep.
There's just a lot of pirate imagery in a house. For people that claim they hate pirates.
Yeah. It's
I'm not going to deck my house out with things I hate and then be like, yeah, we don't like that at all.
I'm terrified of owls from Labyrinth. I'm not going to put owls everywhere. It's there and it's plain as can be. And that's another thing I said. Between this movie and Labyrinth, I think it scarred me from ever wanting a door or a window in my room because like someone's coming.
Oh yeah, they're coming through,
and they're coming
at any moment,
and they're stealing me, whatever it's coming through.
It also doesn't make a ton of sense because it's the dead of winter and the door is just wide open, no screen, just like when Peter's like, close that door. I guess to your point, as a dad, I'm like, yeah, you're letting out all the heat. What are you doing? It's winter.
Do you know what this?
They're reading a book on the floor. You're just chilling out on the balcony. It's freezing in here.
Nonsense.
Close the window.
Yeah. So one of the things, again, not much to nitpick in my opinion, but one of the things that starts to percolate in my mind, which I'd already known ahead of time and I knew was there from all the viewings, but this relationship between Granny Wendy and Peter, it is maternal, but also a relationship because they have their history. So it is this kind of, so like there's a line where Wendy's coming up the stairs and she goes, Peter, do you like my dress? And he goes, yeah, it's fine. And walks by fire, which I never noticed.
But you know what I noticed?
Yeah.
Later in the movie, Tink says, do you like my dress? And he goes, yeah, it's gorgeous. See, he's changed.
Yes.
And maybe he's paying attention more, or I don't know. That's but good. I didn't. It is a funny line too, where she's, Peter, do you like my dress? Yeah, fine.
Yeah, I totally blew past that before. But Peter and Moira, they're getting upset. He had just yelled at the kids.
Yeah,
and he's obviously tense about work. So Moira's response is to huck the phone out the window,
which kind of warranted
and fine. But my first response is this isn't today's age where if you threw my phone out the window, I'd be useless because I have no phone numbers memorized.
Right.
Phones back there were useless. So you probably had phones memorized or numbers memorized.
That's true.
You could probably go to the phone and be like, all right, let me call Bill on this line because I know his damn number.
He has no other phone he can use.
That's what I'm saying. The phone's right there.
Come on.
I get it. Or, it's more representative.
You know what you can do? Walk outside and grab said phone. It's in the yard. Nana grabs it.
Yeah.
Warranted. Fine.
Exactly.
But he could still have gone out and just gotten it. He acts like, well, that's in a pit of lava. I'll never get that back.
That's gone forever.
Just,
Yeah. Just
maybe go on the balcony looking, oh, there it is. I'll go grab it.
But Moira made her point.
She did.
And she dropped some knowledge on Peter, some real heavy hitters. She says, soon we'll be begging for their attention. Yeah. It's like,
she really goes in for the kill.
And she's right. I know we're all going to be there someday, and our kids can be pains in the ass, but someday they're going to be like, Dad, get out of here. I'm with my friends. So
I wish she would have said, like, you never know. They could be kidnapped at any moment. So maybe just enjoy this.
By a former enemy of some sort. Someone.
I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but this could happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, another thing, if I'm nitpicking, the whole thimble as a kiss, backpack as a hug, these sort of like
I don't get it
lines. Yeah, I just accepted them. I was like, oh, okay, I guess that is just what it is. But like on the face of it, or like thinking about it now, that I'm just like, yeah, I don't get it.
Plus, who uses thimbles anymore? Cam was asking about that. He's like, what do they mean giving it as a kiss? Yeah. I'm like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
And that backpack as a hug, is that in Peter Pan? I don't recall that.
I don't recall it at all. And I think maybe it's just like, oh, because a thimble's a kiss, let's think of something as a hug, maybe.
Well, because then Grandma Wendy is like, well, she made you a parachute. So I didn't know if she just called it a hug or I don't know.
Again, just maybe if we're nitpicking, which is a bit of the point of this.
And can I use this as a parachute? No, I can't.
I can't. I'm dying. Okay, you already saw the picture that Jack drew. I'm not getting one. I'm flying out. I'm dead. But Peter, he tries to make it right. He goes up to Jack and says, "This is my very special watch, so you can keep track of the time." I said, "Yeah, that's what watches do, Dad. Thank you. Yeah. I'm not going to do math on it." Oh, is that what it
does? Thanks, Dad.
Got it, loud and clear.
And how great, because what kid doesn't want a pocket watch? What a wonderful gesture.
If I drop it, it's breaking, and it's 1,000 years old.
So
you're giving me a responsibility. You're giving me a chore now. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Give me a cheeseburger.
I would have rather you come to my baseball game. I don't want this old piece of shit.
Yeah. My word is my bond. But it's not.
But it's not. We address that.
Also.
Yeah. But so they go to the what would you call it? The gala, the fundraiser.
Yeah.
And just something I noticed in this viewing is that Peter's awkwardly like telling jokes, on stage, and they're doing well.
Yeah.
But the fact that Robin Williams is a stand-up comedian, he's doing this like version of himself that's like not doing. I was like, I never just had that thought before. So like that's enjoyable to watch him pretend to be bad at stand-up comedy when he's actually.
But the jokes are funny.
Yes, and they're killing.
Yeah.
The room loves it. But just a little food for that, little thought I had. But so now they go, Granny Wendy, she's got a bad feeling, something's happening. Captain Hook has come to take the kids. when they get back in the house, this is one of those like made an impression on my childhood brain that never left is Liza on the stairs.
Yes.
That never left my brain.
I think that is the scariest moment I've seen in any kids movie.
And that's what I was getting to is like
the children were screaming.
That's brutal.
Screaming.
Yeah, and even as an adult, I'm like, what?
It's still jarring.
Yeah. If you're a parent went upstairs and that's all she can say repeatedly, you are freaked out.
Least favorite scenes. Number 1, Liza saying the children were screaming. To this day, the shadows in the hall, her face, her voice, terrifying. Everything about it, I'm just like, hell no.
Yeah.
Get me out of here. Yeah. Just run up the stairs as fast as you can.
Exactly.
Find the empty beds. Anything is more comforting than that. Oh my God. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah. And we have Toodles like Hookie's back. Like so, this is where it's like so many like one-liners in this movie that's just we start to chart them because there's so many, and that's the first one I wrote down. And this is where we get our lovely Phil Collins cameo.
Yep.
Which there's a bit of like history on that. Like he was worried that because his part was so short that he thought people would think he had a bigger part, but it was bad. He was bad at it, so he got cut. He thought like there's
like cut out scenes.
Exactly. Like he thought like, why would I have such a small part? I'm Phil Collins and like I'm in this movie, but he internalized that as like people are gonna think I was bad in this movie and they cut me. So there's
weird. I guess Goody took it seriously, but
yeah.
Wow. All right. Way to go,
so Phil Collins a little not so sure about his cameo in that movie. But another classic line, Peter, don't you know who you are? Like, again, just... He
does not.
He's
got to be beaten over the head with it many, many times.
He'll get there, but not without being dragged there.
The bigger problem I have is he doesn't know how to clap. When she's telling him he's got to clap to make her come alive again, his hands are like, his fingers are pointing outward, like only his palms are touching. It's so weird.
That's not how you
I'm just
clap.
like... Have you never clapped before? Is this your first time clapping?
It's one of those things where like if you're walking up the stairs and you think about how do I walk up the stairs, that's when you trip. So it's like how
weird.
Do I clap?
Clapping, is that where you touch your hands? Yeah, not like that
slap
though,
them
man. What is happening?
So that to me, I'm glad. And looking for some trivia, I always, as that happened, I was like, what is the clapping hands about? And I found out what the clapping hands is about. So Peter clapping his hands to heal Tinkerbell was a reference to the times when Peter Pan was performed on stage. Peter would ask the audience to clap to heal Tink.
Yes.
So in Peter Pan, the clapping was left out in the 1953 version because there's no interaction, and they did it for this version. So I was like, oh, so there.
I think they do it in Finding Neverland too. Have you seen that movie?
I've never seen Finding Neverland. Once I started looking at trivia, I was like, oh yeah, there's a whole other movie that is connected to this. That
and
I've
you
never
know who
seen.
else is in Finding Neverland?
Smee.
Dustin Hoffman.
And Smee, I believe.
Is he?
I thought I read that. I could be wrong. I thought I read that in the trivia section. I've never seen it.
Bob Hoskins?
I'm going off of.
I can't think of it off the top of my head. But Dustin Hoffman is a prominent
Bob
role.
Hoskins reprised his role as Smee in Neverland 2011.
Good for him.
And Dustin Hoffman as Captain Hook.
No, Dustin Hoffman is like the owner of the theater, I think.
Okay.
So Johnny Depp wants to put the play on. Dustin Hoffman's like this will never work. You're an idiot.
Perfect.
And then obviously
I would
comes
know.
around.
I would know. I would know. Trust me.
I'm just saying I was Hook.
Listen,
it's a good movie though. Finding Neverland. Oof,
okay.
Solid.
All right.
Solid. If you are into Hook at all.
Well, it's up. After I've read Siskel and Ebert's reviews, I'm on the fence again.
You'll come around.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. So we get again. Half of my notes are just quotes like that I love.
I had to stop. Like my favorite scenes are just like listing quotes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's so much of it, but excuse me if the listener's not enjoying this, but a lot of this is just going to be. We're just going to quote this.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Second star to the right and straight out in the morning.
Yep.
Again, like these are quotes that like go beyond this movie that people.
It's
will
your
use
childhood.
Just in their lives.
It's part of your childhood.
Yeah.
I like when Hook is trying to find the stranger. Someone here does not belong. Who here does not belong? And then he goes, "You."
That is,
and everyone points to themselves.
I know that, and that's another one of those lines I've used. Like if I'm just for no reason, I don't even think about it, I'm just thinking of the word "you." I just go, "You." You have to say it twice.
Not you. Not you.
You.
That one kills me every time.
Absolutely. When Smee brings out Hook, he is just absolutely roasting him. And their relationship, it's a good one. You know, they go back and forth. It's not like Smee is on the chopping block like others could be.
Have you looked up about the relationship?
I did see something about the relationship.
This is in my things that went over my head as a kid.
Because go ahead.
In a 2004 interview with Playboy, Dustin Hoffman said that that's where I want to get my my interview knowledge. Dustin Hoffman said he and Bob Hoskins realized at the exact same moment while rehearsing that Smee and Captain Hook were gay. And I'm reading that prior to the movie, and I'm like, huh, okay. And then I'm trying to look out for it. Yeah, Smee kisses him on the cheek at one point when he keeps Hook from committing suicide. He kisses him on the cheek. He sits in his lap and is fixing his mustache, like twirling it. He's straddling him. And then, like, I always thought it was weird that he's eating food and putting it on a plate and then, like, handing it to him and saying, oh, you don't want this? And then makes him a drink and then just drinks it himself. So I guess that could go in either way. Like, that's one of those things, like Bert and Ernie. Are they gay? I don't know. I don't care.
Doesn't matter.
Like, they're soulmates. They're friends.
Right.
They hate each other. They love each other, whatever. That's how I feel about Smee and Hook. So are they gay? Maybe that helped them get into character by acting like a bunch of...
This is where it's like, if I found out more history about, like, actors' choices... Maybe I wouldn't like it. It might tarnish the idea. It's like, well, I didn't need to know that. Like, I loved this movie and what you did with it. I didn't even know, like, all right, to be Abraham Lincoln for this movie, I had to pretend I was a dinosaur every night. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, the movie was great. So fine.
Do what you want.
So to me, this is a bit of like, that's fine.
Yeah.
If that's what you needed to do.
I just wonder if that is like written into the script, or if people now retroactively are being like, well, they're gay.
Right.
All right. Well, good for them.
Yeah, so fine.
I'm glad they found each other, I guess, on the same boat.
Yeah, exactly. Who would have thought?
It seems to be working out.
Yeah, exactly. And the back and forth, like I said, it's Smee is never on the chopping block with Hook. Hook, he roasts him, and anyone else would have been shot or killed at that point. So they've got history, the two.
They're moving on.
Yeah.
It's not even like a pause. They're just like they don't even acknowledge it.
No. Everyone in this movie, I didn't find umbrage with anyone's performance in this movie. No? I
think Julia Roberts, I know they gave her a hard time.
They really did.
I didn't think she was that bad.
That's what I'm saying. She got a Razzie. I
didn't think she was that bad.
No.
Also,
Dennis the Menace did not deserve a Razzie, and Julia Roberts did not deserve a Razzie.
I mean, there are times, like the food fight, she's laughing. It doesn't seem like... I saw something, maybe it was the Ebert, where it was like an uninspired performance, or she did it as like an obligation.
Yes.
I didn't feel that way at all.
No, she didn't phone it in.
But one of the problems I have, and I don't know if this is just Tink, like the character, or Julia Roberts playing her. So a question I have, is the relationship between her and Peter weird, like this weird attraction? It just felt weird to me watching it as a kid, where like she becomes huge, she's wearing a dress, they make out, and then he's like, no, I love Moira. But Kristen pointed this out to me. So she loves Peter. She hasn't seen him in how long? So she fell in love with a boy. I mean, maybe fairies don't age. Maybe she's also like 10 years old or something.
Her age is either 10 or like 3,000. Like
Maybe. It just seems weird. Like, I'm in love with you, and I've always loved you since you were a child.
Well, he's in a love triangle. Granny Wendy loves him.
Does she
loves him? Yes, she does love him.
I didn't feel that this time though, watching it.
But there's that history is that they were in love. But they couldn't be in love because she kept aging. So then he ended up with his granddaughter. So like they're
but she's also like, here's my granddaughter. Right. So have at it.
But I can keep you around, so I can still kind of like flirt with you a little bit. Like, hey, you like my Peter? You like my dress? I got my nails done.
I felt like more in the cartoon, Wendy wanted Peter. This just seems like we know each other. I get to go fly, so what's not to like?
I felt he's got the tears of former lovers. It's burnt bridges. Like he's coming around. Oh, here's me and my wife of how many years? Like, yeah, I know, Peter. Yeah, I remember. Remember we dated. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah. All right.
The Mount Rushmore of bad guys and kids movies. The Wicked Witch. Hook is on there. Hook is prominently on there. Dustin Hoffman. This is one of those movies where it's like, You could realize that wasn't even Dustin Hoffman because you're like, how? Like he was that person. Like that is Hook.
And all the critics rip on Dustin Hoffman,
absolutely
saying like,
roast him.
He's playing a caricature of. He's a freaking imaginary pirate. What do you want?
And he's absolutely him. He's 100%.
He's crushing it. Yeah.
If you
I feel like this
Hook,
is method acting.
Yes.
Like, if you told me that he didn't shower the entire time on set and actually shaved his head so he could wear that wig, I would have bought it.
Yes.
He becomes awesome. Like, if someone says Hook, and not just because of the movie,
right.
I picture Dustin Hoffman as that. Any other Hook that I see, I compare them to Dustin Hoffman.
And sometimes I forget that that's Dustin Hoffman because I'm like, oh, that's just Hook. That's
totally.
What that is.
Totally.
And something I read was that he, as a part of him getting into the character, he showed up 2 months early to set before he even started filming, just to like soak it all in, just to like get into the character.
Wow.
Like, and it showed because he was great. But he's on my Mount Rushmore of evil bad guys from kids movies.
He's
fantastic.
great.
He's fantastic.
And you hate him. All the little things he does toward the end were like bad form. He scratches Peter. He doesn't play by the rules. He's got a hidden sword somehow.
Yep.
He's a bad guy.
Yeah. But I also love that he isn't a perfect bad guy. He's like, I don't want to do
flawed.
this anymore.
Yeah.
He's on the verge of killing himself.
Yes,
he's
he
just
is.
like, I'm not good. Like, why am I doing that? Like, that's what part, like, it kind of endears you to him a little bit. Like, oh, he's just, he's
a guy.
He's a guy and he's old and he's sick of this. Like, he's
sick of these
wants
shit
to hang
kids,
it up.
man.
Yeah.
Like, I
so
mean,
he's not just like a
our
young guy.
opinions have changed as we've gotten older. I don't know. Maybe I'd be sick of the Lost Boys too.
100%.
Quit. Stay in your own part of the island, man.
Yeah.
Just let me live my life on my pirate ship.
I want to retire. I just want to be a pirate and I want to go to bed.
Drink on my ship, eat my feast,
eat turkey legs, and just go to bed.
Done.
And maybe
that sounds like heaven.
Yeah, and maybe it's the Lost Boys. They're the ones who are poking and prodding.
Right.
Hook, come play with us. Hook, like get off my yard.
Right. I got no time for that.
So is this an allegory for Dennis the Menace? Is this just he's Mr. Wilson? He just leave me alone, please. I just want. And they're all the annoying kids.
I
just
can't
coming
even
over
wrap my brain around that.
Well, with the connection to Dennis the Menace, I mean, it's all there. Nick Castle, and we still got to get to him. Yeah, we get Who Doubted Me? You. The Boo Box. Again, anything that's a box is the Boo Box. So it is what it is. Smee dropping his name's Peter Pan, or I got a dead man's dinghy. Like, again, this is just one of many lines that will be quoted throughout this episode.
Bangarang.
Bangarang.
Did you know that's a real word?
I didn't until this. Yes. Until this episode.
It's Jamaican slang for uproar, disorder, or disturbance.
Perfect.
I say bangarang several times.
Yeah. Eating food, that's bangarang. Like there's so many. It's got many uses, and none of them are wrong. We get a bit of banter. We start the banter between Hook and Peter when he's trying to climb up and get the kids. He says, somebody give me a hand.
I already have.
Ooh, and then a hush comes over the crowd. And Maggie, again, like, listen, you already stressed me out on the plane by showing me the drawing. Now you're telling me, come on, Daddy, Mommy could do it. Great. That's
in her defense. I believe her. I think she could have. They didn't. I've always wondered, like, just freaking stand up there and jump to the net. Mm-hmm. Granted, this shows like how feeble and maybe how the lack of effort on Peter's part. Shame on him.
But is that helping? Constructive criticism, like give me a Dad, you can do it.
Does she wish she would have done something differently? Maybe, but it all worked out in the end.
Yeah. After that, we get the scene with the mermaids, which made me think of when I was younger seeing this scene. Yep. And it always felt like I was walking in on my parents watching a movie I shouldn't be watching.
Yes.
Like,
and it felt uncomfortable.
Yes. And watching it now, I'm like, and then the clam closes, I'm like, oh, they're screwing in that clam, right? They're having a quick little onesie as they go
I
up.
don't think so.
They're probably not.
But Cam was like, what are they doing? And I'm like, I think they're breathing into him. So
and the bubble, you can tell they shot that, and they're like, we have to make a sound, or else people are just like, why are they doing
the bubbles
this?
Are. That's it. But couldn't you just raise him up quickly?
Right.
Like he's smiling in the water.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a little like
probably. That's what mermaids do.
And the ladies love him. The ladies love Peter.
Well, at least mermaids.
Yeah. The introduction of the kids, every one of them coming on screen, I'm just so excited because like here they all are. The Lost Boys. That's the great thing about this movie. It's like you watch this, they never age because they don't. They're the Lost Boys. That's where they really are there. And here comes Rufio. Yep. How many times in your life have you done the Rufio chant?
Rufio, Rufio, Rufio. Oh,
it's perfect. One of the lines that I burst out laughing because so many of these lines are like, oh, there's Rufio, there's Banger, and there's things that are like those are the lines. But then these other like secondary lines pop out, and it catches me off guard, and I just burst out laughing. Was we kill pirates? I'm not a pirate. I'm a lawyer. Kill the lawyer. Like again, so many good lines of this damn movie.
Even that after that, then when they're like deciding if they are going to accept him or not, and then he's training. That whole song is so funny.
Incredible.
Reach on down and touch your toes.
Yep.
How long since you looked at those?
And I can't tell you how many times our family or Jen and I have gone up to one of the kids and grabbed him by the cheeks and gone, "Is that you, Peter? Is that you?"
Yes.
Just doing the Pocket scene.
Oh, there you are, Peter.
Pockets may be in the running for my favorite kid. My favorite Lost Boy. He's so good. And when he's yelling at all of them, and he's giving them the business, it's so, they're all so good. But if I gun to my head, if I had to pick one, I think I'm going with Pockets.
He's solid.
Yeah.
And he's great in the food fight scene too. He gets it on like his forehead only. It's just a really good splatter.
Yeah, perfect.
I got a bunch of questions.
All right, let's go questions. I've given some quotes, but one quick one before one is Gandhi ate more than this. I wondered if Rob Williams improvised that. I think that he may. It felt improvised. It felt just like one of his kind of jokes.
All right. Well, speaking of improvisation, I'm wondering when him and Rufy are going back and forth with the insults.
Oh yeah,
and he calls him a nearsighted gynecologist. Yeah. Is it racist / problematic? I'm like, ooh.
I mean,
nearsighted gynecologist. Yipes.
I mean, it was the one that I wrote down for sure. It's the one that stood out. So I think there might be something to that. There might be something to hang on that. Sure.
All right. Questions I have other than nearsighted gynecologist.
Sure.
When Peter was watching the play of Peter Pan at the beginning, that doesn't spark any memories whatsoever.
No.
Watching that. Okay. Then Peter hasn't seen Granny Wendy in 10 years.
Right.
She saved your life, and you're just like, meh.
Yeah, I'll get to you when I get to you. He's a busy businessman, Jim.
Okay. Also, maybe Granny didn't actually save Peter, because when Tink is helping him remember his memories, did Granny Wendy take credit for Tinkerbell saving Peter? Because he falls out of this stroller, he's laying on the ground, Tink covers him with a leaf and carries him to Neverland. So where does Granny Wendy come into that? This is the first moment where I'm like, is Granny Wendy a fraud? All those people standing up clapping for her?
Yeah.
Was it Tink all along? Because I'd be a little miffed with her too.
And maybe playing those performances even better. Julia Roberts, she was pissed, and maybe for good reason. Tinkerbell had history. She was upset.
I'd be furious.
I'd be hot. And also, that scene where they filmed the baby in the rain, no way do they film that today. Not like that. A child is getting dumped rain
just
on, like
crying.
I was like, no way does this fly today. That might be into the problem. Like if the
like, someone get an umbrella.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't. The rain wasn't heavy enough. We got to shoot this again. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. Like, let's get it again.
Yeah. Next question. Why did Hook personally come to kidnap Peter Pan's kids? He didn't have any pirates that could do that.
Love of the game, man.
And then why did he have to wait till they traveled to England to go in the room? He can't find them in America?
Fair.
It seems weird. I just don't get the timing.
Yeah.
And it seems like Peter is constantly gone at work. So it's not like, oh, they finally left the house. Now I can make my move.
I think all just better for the story.
Probably. I get it. Mm-hmm. Hook asks, how did you manage to fit into those smashing tights again, Peter? Yeah, how indeed. He was a kid the last time he wore that. Did they just have an adult Peter Pan costume laying around in the tree?
Listen, Ebert, you were looking for magic. Maybe the tights that fit him from a child to an adult. Maybe there's a little bit of magic in there. Maybe
that might be. I was actually, when Hook said that, I'm like, actually, can you please answer that? I want to know.
Your response to that was,
how did you fit into those tights?
Good form. Good form, Hook.
And then, I guess just to you. So, I mean, if you haven't listened to this movie, I don't know what your problem is. But Rufio dies. Is this brutal. The first death you've witnessed in a movie for maybe, I would say, a lead character or even like live action? Because you have like Bambi's mom dies.
Yeah.
You have Mufasa dies in Lion King.
Yeah.
There are some cartoon deaths.
Right.
I can't recall ever like someone being killed.
Yeah. You watch the sword go in.
Yes.
Brutal.
Cam was like, did Hook kill him? I'm like, yeah.
He really did.
How? He kind of stabbed him with a sword in the heart.
Got him with a little stab.
Yeeps. Yeah. And then he's like, I wish I had a dad like you.
Unreal. That death that's a Mount Rushmore of death.
Goodness.
Yeah. Even watching it recently for this, it was like,
maybe hits. That and Liza.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's why, again, I cannot agree with any of these critics. I'm like, there's funny, there's emotional, there's
ups and downs.
You're on a journey.
It's a roller coaster.
You're on a 2-hour and 22-minute journey. And if you're not, then you're not watching.
But what is your problem?
You're not invested.
Have you no feelings?
No.
Are you dead inside?
I believe so. I would vote that they are. And again, so we've got some Mount Rushmore. Hook is one of the best bad guys. Rufio dying, one of the worst deaths. Them eating the food scene. That's probably a top food scene.
Food fight scene?
Yeah. Incredible.
Unreal. From the food fight scene on to the end of the movie, if I'm anywhere close to the food fight scene, this is on TV.
Yeah, it's on.
Guess what? Buckle up.
Yeah.
I don't care. I think it's probably like another 45 minutes to the end.
Yep.
Well, we're watching it, sister.
Yeah, sit down.
Well, this
plans.
is happening.
And anytime you were a kid, you sat at the dinner table, you imagined that was you. You were bangarang, you were throwing it, you were imagining the whole spread. So that just wormed its way into your psyche.
The boys watched the movie with me. I would say they were mildly interested for the beginning. Once we got to the food fight scene, they were howling with laughter, and then we're just like glued to the TV the rest of the movie. It really does draw you in. I mean, that scene is so good. Yep. And using their imagination. Hey, Rufio, why don't you suck on a dead dog's nose? Boom. Frosting on his face.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's perfect.
Oh.
It's really hitting its stride. Yeah, perfect. And then there's probably... like, of the movie, there's probably 30 minutes past. I didn't write a single note because I just watched it with my eyes, but I was just enjoying it.
Fine with that.
But the Hook cutting Peter at the end, I know it's going to happen. Bad form, Hook.
Yeah, bad form.
Peter's lending out his hand. He's like, let's let bygones be bygones.
Yeah.
Let be bygones. And he
gives him like 3 chances to be a decent human being.
Yep.
And then Hook is even like, give me back my dignity.
Yep.
And he gives him the freaking wig.
Yep.
And still
can't
how
not
dare
be Hook.
you?
He again, love of the game. Like he's
just a bad guy, man.
Hook's gonna hook, man. And why are we gonna expect any differently of him? It's incumbent upon us to know who we're dealing with.
Fool me 17 times. Shame on me.
Fool me for my whole childhood growing up.
Shame on me.
That's shame on me. And I think the movie just perfectly ends with Toodles flying away, because when they leave the house, Toodles looking out the window, like it's happening. And at the end, Toodles, he gets his marbles.
Yeah,
he goes
sure
back
does.
to Neverland.
Seize the day.
It's a perfect button on the movie.
So I know you love Hook. Can you picture anyone as Hook other than Dustin Hoffman, Nick?
My laundry list of other casting options absolutely took me for a ride, but there is no world in which anyone could be Hook except Dustin Hoffman.
Well, do you know who was supposed to be Hook? Did you see that?
I did, but I
David frickin' Bowie turned
Jareth
down
himself.
the role
Jareth
of Captain.
himself.
I laughed out loud when I saw that. I'm like, Nick is either going to be an agony or ecstatic from that.
When I saw it, I was like, I don't know if Jim's going to see this one, if I'm going to break the news to
your
him.
ass.
Part of it was like, and you know what? I totally see the connection, because both those movies delighted and terrified me for their own reasons.
Come on.
And
David Bowie would be like,
oh no, there's no world in which, as much as I love Labyrinth and my history of that movie, you cannot put him as, it's a hard no, a hard pass.
No.
But the fact that he was considered could have had it as the role is like absolutely blows my mind.
These are your children. Come on, no, that he could not.
Well, so then maybe Sis Gleamer would have enjoyed it, because they definitely would have got their musical numbers. Those would not have been missing.
Oh my god!
So let's dive into some more of the history and fun facts of this movie.
Good, do it.
So I already kind of talked about Nick Castle, originally supposed to direct, and then Steven Spielberg kind of just sneezled his way into there.
I don't think that's a word, but yes.
It's a snake and a weasel. Steven Spielberg expressed interest in being involved. The producers and heads of the studio possibly quickly had to settle with Nick Castle 6 figures, gave him points and the credit for screen story so that he could step down and Steven Spielberg could take over.
Ooh,
so this movie had, huh? Yes, there was some like bad juju with this movie from the beginning.
Wow.
Let's take a ride. We started with a potential Jareth as Hook.
Oh, thank God that didn't happen.
Steven Spielberg, do you know who the vehicle, this movie was a vehicle for? Like when he came up with the idea.
Like who was going to be Peter Pan?
Who was going to be Peter Pan?
No.
Because there is a connection to Labyrinth. Because we talked about with Labyrinth, there was someone that was considered to play Jareth. Michael fucking Jackson. Michael Jackson. In 1983, Michael Jackson expressed an interest in starring in the movie when Steven Spielberg brought up that he was potentially doing a Hook movie. Instead, he focused on Indiana Jones, and so Hook he had the idea, or he was supposed to originally do it in the 80s. Then Nick Castle got on board in the 90s, and then he kind of just snuck in there and took it over. He sneezled. So their relationship, they were friends, Michael Jackson and Steven Spielberg. It ruined their friendship because Michael Jackson, when he heard the movie was happening and then didn't get the call, he assumed the part was for him.
Whoa. So he expected he was going to be Peter Pan?
Because Steven Spielberg said, I'm going to be doing this movie. He said, I've always wanted to do this movie. So they had a conversation that left him thinking, when you do this, call me, basically.
Okay, follow-up question.
Yeah.
When did he name his ranch Neverland Ranch? Because was this after where he was like, you know what? I'm going to create my own Neverland.
Maybe.
Screw you.
Maybe. And that very well could be.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So
what a weird movie. Come on.
Absolutely. If you're talking about weird, like, alternate universes where this movie is something entirely different,
you can't moonwalk to Neverland, friend.
No, this movie is a wild ride as a Michael Jackson vehicle. So that's where this starts.
Michael Jackson is Peter Pan. David Bowie is Hook. That's a nightmare.
And it only gets weirder.
Oh, good.
So after we get past the Michael Jackson debacle, originally set to play Peter Pan was Kevin Kline, but he had to drop out because of the movie Soap Dish was having reshoots and rewrites.
What is happening?
Yes, it gets better. Tom Hanks considered the role of Peter Pan.
Why?
Which went to his friend Robin Williams. He was considered for the role. I think Tom Hanks was locked in, like, you're him, and then he didn't, and then Kevin Kline was supposed to, and then he didn't. So again, do you imagine Peter as anyone but Robin Williams?
No,
absolutely not. We talked about David Bowie as Hook. Other considerations for Hook: Donald Sutherland, which I will say, I'm not saying it's a 1-for-1 swap. I can see that
as Hook.
Yes, Donald Sutherland. They have.
Yeah,
a similar kind of vibe.
Yep.
But it's not the same movie.
No.
But that one's at least close.
Okay, yes. At least I could picture that.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
The others, get out.
So, again, there's so many parallels with your true beloved Dennis the Menace because Christopher Lloyd was considered for Captain Hook.
That one I have a hard time with, too.
I mean, again, I could see him doing that part, but in this version of this movie, absolutely not. Let's keep the list going. Danny DeVito and Joe Pesci considered for Smee.
Danny DeVito? Okay.
Yes.
I'm in.
Joe Pesci is like I kind of can't get there, but Danny DeVito, sure.
Yeah.
We talked about Carrie Fisher as the original Tinkerbell.
Yep.
Winona Ryder was considered, as well as Rebecca De Mornay, Sherilyn Fenn, and Samantha Mathis. Joseph Mazzello, are you familiar with him?
Nope.
He is the young man in Jurassic Park.
Oh.
He was considered for Jack, but he was too young at the time. So he got Jurassic Park.
I can see that.
So there's so many of these, like, you hear some of these castings and you go, oh, well, Steven Spielberg just used them in this movie. Or like, we didn't have you for this, so we used you for that.
If you say Jeff Goldblum could have been Hook,
I was waiting for it because eventually there were so many of these like connections.
Right.
Sir Richard Attenborough, who was from Jurassic Park. Welcome Jurassic Park. He was considered for Toodles, and he declined.
Thank God. Can you picture anyone else's Toodles?
That's what I'm saying.
So many. Okay, Maggie, amazing. Yeah. Like the character that played or the actress that plays Maggie. Mm-hmm. Charlie Korsmo is Jack. Amazing.
Yep.
Robin Williams has to be Peter Pan.
No question.
Dustin Hoffman has to be Hook.
Yeah.
Moira, you want to throw someone else's wife? Whatever. It's kind of a nothing role.
Right.
Tinkerbell, I could see that going another way too.
Sure.
Which, can I get into the Julia Roberts? So
it's all hanging there.
She was nicknamed Tinker Hell.
Well, before we get there, one last little notch is that there's a rumor or a story that Leonardo DiCaprio auditioned for an unspecified role, so he was too old for Jack because he was about 15 or 16, and the idea is that maybe it was Rufio. Again, that's unsubstantiated history, but
I can't
something
picture
to think
anyone
about.
else's Rufio either.
Absolutely not. Sorry, I interrupted. Tinkerhell.
Yes. So nicknamed Tinkerhell because she was so difficult to deal with. Mm-hmm. She almost put the production in jeopardy when she fled to California after her wedding to Keith Kiefer Sutherland was called off.
Wild.
She also checked into a hospital for nervous exhaustion.
And there's something with that too.
That Steven Spielberg gave her the teddy bear.
The teddy bear.
And so then they had to get a double or
Yes.
like a replacement teddy bear for the scene. Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's bad
Peter
juju.
Pan's teddy. It's amazing this movie happens.
Yeah, with all these like little, acting, like casting choices and all these things up and down and all around. And even, I'll get to this too, Steven Spielberg, he has umbrage with a little bit of the movie as well. Like,
still to this day?
Evident, or at least until recently. But it's a pull at the heartstrings. So we all know, like, you're not, listen, Jim Dahlbeck, if that is your name.
Yep.
You're not going to ask me if Robin Williams is dead or alive. You're not going to ask that because we know he's passed. But according to him, Steven Spielberg tried to watch this movie after the fact and couldn't get through it because he was crying for hours.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that. I did see that as well, but
I buy it. I'm all with, like, if you do that movie and that's that character and you know the history there, like, sure.
I mean, you hear too, like, on Mrs. Doubtfire or all these other movies that Robin Williams has been on, how everyone just loved him and he was so great to all of them.
Yep.
So I guess it's not far-fetched.
No.
But I saw that and was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But if we're going dead or alive, Nick,
I don't want to.
Let's do this.
Dead or alive.
So Granny Wendy, Maggie Smith.
Well, she's 92 then, 52.
Right.
I'll say she's alive.
Alive? 87 years old.
So she could really play this part now.
Now she could.
She's
yeah,
ready.
she's 87.
She's waited her whole life.
In 5 years,
Yeah.
she could do it. All right, Smee, Bob Hoskins.
Yes.
Dead or alive?
I think he passed away.
I couldn't remember.
He passed away, didn't he?
He did.
Oh, I feel like I saw him in an Oscar memoriam.
I think so. Because I think I was like, oh no, Smee.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. 2014, at 71 years old, he died from pneumonia 4 months before Robin Williams.
Damn.
Yeah, that's
Brutal.
a rough 4 months.
That's a bad year. Yeah.
All right, Liza, Laurel Cronin.
She has to pass away because she seemed like she was older. She's older than Granny Wendy was in that movie. She passed away. No?
She died in 1992 at 53.
Yeah, she passed. Oh, that is far too young.
From cancer. Not good.
Brutal.
Probably because the children were screaming. They're screaming.
Brutal.
All right, Rufio, Dante Bosco.
He's alive.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Thud Butt, Rashawn Hammond.
Oh, I feel like I'm gonna whiff on this one. He's alive. All right.
5 for 5.
Swish.
Nicholas.
All day long.
I got 2 more.
Okay.
Trivia things that you might actually enjoy.
All right.
Liza.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what other movie she was in?
No.
Children's movie. She was the babysitter in Beethoven.
Oh, incredible.
When
I did not
the
remember
youngest girl, I can't think of her name, when she falls in the pool, she is the babysitter playing like little organ.
Yeah.
Also, the redhead Lost Boy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you know what he is from?
Is he in Little Rascals?
He is in Blank Check. He is Butch
Holy
in Blank
shit.
Check.
He just blew my mind.
And when I saw his face, I'm like, that kid looks familiar. And I look at the IMDb credit, I'm like, oh my God, it's Butch.
Incredible.
And I remember seeing him in Hook, and like he's got the dimples at the end. He's smiling.
Yep.
He's kind of cute there.
Yeah.
Not so much in Blank Check. I'm not a fan of him either.
What a resume. Well done. Well done to you.
1-2 punch. Blank Check, Hook.
That's good.
Which one's better? I don't know.
Oh, easy does it. I was asking Jen earlier, and I wonder what your thoughts were on this. So there is this like history of Julia Roberts was difficult on this movie. She was Tinkerbell.
Yep.
I wonder, what are your thoughts on this? Where my mind goes and where I'm curious is, was she truly like an absolute nightmare? Or do you think this was, like, oh, she was an actress in the 90s and she maybe pushed back a little and they were like, oh, Jesus, this pain in the ass. Like, do you think it's all warranted? Do you think that
probably?
Because the things that I see are just that she was a pain in the ass, but nothing in terms of like, what did she do to be a pain in the ass? Like, I know she had someone on set who washed her feet.
I saw that because
So
she's
maybe.
a fairy. So, but that could be Steven Spielberg's. So I guess I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, and her part too, she probably had to be on harnesses or it's green screen.
And she wasn't filmed, like she was by herself all the time.
Right.
So it's like, I'm not saying that grants you the right to be an a-hole, but I'm saying I wonder how much of it was just like circumstance.
I just think if there's that much that you're hearing about it, it probably is something true.
To it. And that's fair. So I was hinting earlier, Steven Spielberg, he has a bit of disappointment with this movie. He said he had such a hard time working with the crew of young actors that he later said, only somewhat kiddingly, that the experience made him wonder if he wanted to have any more kids.
I saw that.
He also felt guilty that he wasn't able to find a method in filming to save money for the flight sequences. And but he is now thankful that he made it because he became good friends with Rob Williams. So it's like, okay, he's the director. I'm sure you'll always have, nits to pick. But like,
it did pretty well though.
Yeah.
Like it made a ton of money.
That's what I'm saying. Like at the end, even if you have umbrage with it, like the audience says otherwise. Like
plus maybe one for the fans, one for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Pick one of your other 25 movies that just absolutely dominated.
And that was a bit of the problem with the reviews, the critics, because they were like, "Oh, this is the guy who made Close Encounters." It's like, okay, well, that's not necessarily
and Jurassic Park,
yeah,
and Schindler's List,
right,
and like. Fill in the blank.
Right. So they're all going like, if he can make those, why does this suck? It's like, well,
it's a kid's movie.
That's where I'm like,
off your high horse.
Exactly. And that's where I'm like, get over it a bit,
This is nothing like The Godfather. Yeah.
I didn't see one ET in this whole movie. Some more tea to add to the history of the Julia Roberts business. In 1991, they released a 99-card collection of pictures of people in this movie, characters in this movie. Do you want to guess who was left out?
No.
Fucking Tinkerbell. They even included Rufio and people like other people that weren't. Maybe you could just argue that weren't as big characters or played as big a part in the history of the movie. It seems the reason for the omission was the controversy surrounding Roberts at the time. That to me is some like weapon grade like. Passive aggressive shit.
Like whoever decided to have the characters
that they didn't make those without getting that signed off by several people. So I was like,
let's get Lost Boy number 7, but leave out Tinkerbell.
They did Julia Roberts dirty, man. Ooh. I'm saying like she was such a pain in the ass that like it warranted all this.
Wow.
Woof. I'm problematic. We touched on there wasn't a whole lot problematic in the movie that I found. Maybe something I wrote down is maybe the fat jokes on Peter during the song, as they're, just basically razzing for being fat. You're overweight. He
deserved it.
And what they're saying is, you're out of shape. Let's get you away. The song is too catchy to,
I had 2 more problematic.
Sure.
Hook attempting to commit suicide. Not great.
I thought that as well. I was like,
and then he tells Smee to get off his ass. It's funny, but it's like, you better get off your ass and get over here. Smee, this is not a joke.
Totally didn't catch that.
And then Tinkerbell calls Peter a silly ass when she tells him to go away. She's big. He realizes he loves Mora, and she's just like, yeah.
So they're stressing the PG rating in this movie. They're dropping asses.
2 asses. I remember as a kid, the ass.
Okay. You remember the ass? Sure.
Yeah.
Typically you do. Sequels.
I never forget an ass.
Sequels, prequels, spin-offs, and such.
There's a video game based on this movie, Super Nintendo.
I'm in.
Fine.
Let's do this.
I never played it, but I would 100%.
But I will buy it right now.
Yes, 100%. And also for PC, Commodore, evidently they dropped it in several consoles. In a 2020 interview with Collider Games, actor Dante Bosco, as we lovingly know as Rufio, revealed that he's working on an animated prequel series about Rufio. I don't know.
If I can be honest, I think Rufio's a little overrated.
I mean, he definitely...
Also, he's dead.
You definitely... But if you were to say in this movie, like, if you could spin off anything in this movie to any character, potentially he's in the running. I think
it has to be... But I think it's him by default almost.
Right.
If, like, assuming that the plot didn't happen and he's still alive.
Right.
He's, like, next in command.
Yeah.
So
I see it, but I'm wondering if this is a thing that's going to actually happen. Are we going to turn on Disney Plus in 2 years and see, there's a cartoon about Rufio?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Look at all those. If Mighty Ducks gets their own series on Disney Plus, yeah, it's probably 1000%. Happening.
So, is this movie, James Dalbeck, appropriately rated or reviewed?
Hell no.
Absolutely not. Not even up for question.
It is undercut. And again, like some of the other movies that I've read, I am fine justifying that those movies are that number.
Even if I like the movie, I can see where you get there.
Yeah. Hook is only a 6.8. Piss off.
They did him dirty.
Love Jim. It's got to be at least a 7.5.
Yes.
At least.
The 29%, that I can.
I don't even waste my time with that.
That blows my mind. Okay, 29%. Maybe if it's Michael Jackson and David Bowie and it's a whole musical romp that's absolute nonsense.
I don't even care about Rotten Tomatoes.
No.
At this point,
they're gone. Listen.
That rating means nothing.
Rotten Tomatoes. You're
dead to me.
You're done. Get out of here.
But no, it is because. Do I recommend it, Nick? With every ounce of my being.
1,000,000%. I recommend you to watch this 1 million times, 1 million more times in your life. Yeah.
And then just quote the entire thing.
Yeah. To quote it so loud so your kids can't even hear the movie. Like, this isn't for you. This is for me. And you're just in the audience of my enjoyment.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening. Please follow, rate, review, like, and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media. Tune in next season when we review more cinematic masterpieces from our childhood. Until then, you lewd, crude, rude bag of pre-chewed food dude.